Hi everyone, welcome to season 2 of Wish I Knew That, a podcast where we dive into the topic of career outside law, navigating career pivots, and tackling workplace challenges. And in today's episode, we are discussing everyone's favorite word, networking, and how you can be tactical about it and not feel awkward. Today, I'm joined by Aditi Srivastava, the co-founder of The Arc, where she gives an optimistic critique on the startup ecosystem. But prior to this, Aditi had some amazing corporate stints at The Economic Times, the Stellaris VC Fund, and much more. The reason why I'm mentioning this and the reason I thought Aditi would be a great person to talk about networking is because all the opportunities or the roles she has pursued so far are something which are very unique to her and also is an outcome of a deep network which she has developed over time, which is not really transactional in nature. So let's dive in today's episode. Yeah, before this podcast came into being, I never thought of the word networking as like a word that I've like thought deeply about. Okay. But it's been a part of everything that I do. So journalism is about networking and building the right kind of connects and building trust, and that's what my entire career has been about. So if you had to encapsulate that in one word, it would probably be networking. But networking with trust and networking in the right direction, in the right motives. So that is networking to me, like forming connections with people that is authentic, that you can people that you can trust, helping people out when they need it, hoping that people reciprocate when the time comes as well, which they do if you do it with your heart and not with your head. And yeah, that is what it meant to me, and that's what it still means to me. Absolutely well put. But like a lot of people today, they feel really awkward, scared, nervous, or like cringe out like whenever they're put in a place where they're asked to network. So what, like how we can like think about, dealing with these scenarios? So that's the thing, right? There's nothing called ask to network. The minute you do that, it your question itself said that it is forced. Yeah. Nothing forced works. Like it's not in networking, in anything. Nothing that you forced is going to ever work in the way that you expect it to work. That's not the kind of outcome. It's ratta marna nahi hai, right? So. Yeah. For me, networking or the way I think about connections is something that I deeply enjoyed. So I got into journalism not because I wanted to, because my mother thought that yeah, she is good at networking or like just talking to people. I had like the widest friend circle and all of that. She's like, you may be just good at this. You ask a lot of questions. Yeah. Why don't you apply to this college and go to IIMC? Because well, if you'll be studying for CAT and Aditi, you'll end up with like anything less than a 99 point something. It's not worth it because you're not going to be in the top 1 percentile, and that's exactly what matters. So my family was always about spikes. Okay. Do what you do, but do it really well, and don't do something in a mediocre manner. And that's what my dad also said, that if you so I did when I took my CAT the first time, I got like some 92, and I with 92 I got nothing, like nothing meaningful. And my dad actually sat down with me and he said, this 92 can become 98 if you study really hard over a year. But this 98 will not become 99 point something, which is what you need to do the IIM, ABC, and like the kind of career that you want to kind of do and be ambitious. So do something else. And I was in that flux of what do I do next, and I didn't know what I was good at, to be honest. So that was my mother's view, that you're really good at like talking to people. People enjoy your vibe. Maybe journalism is something you can pursue. And I got into Indian Institute of Mass Comm, like just because of that. And that's how it all started. So it was probably not even discovered by me that I'm sort of that I enjoy this. It was discovered by my family. Yeah. The reason I cracked my first interview, which was even a campus placement at IIMC. Yeah. The only thing I did differently from everybody else in my peer, because I was not the smartest in my class, and people were shocked. The most coveted placement in IIMC was Reuters. I was always the person who was late in class. I had zero attendance. Like they were wondering, what did she do very differently at that point in time? Yeah. And honestly, the only 2-3 things that I did was I made 4 or 5 calls You made 4 or 5 cold calls.
No, not cold calls. I went to I was like, what was my network at that point, right? I had no other network. Family was my network.
Yeah.
So I made 4 or 5 calls to, like, I told my mom, this is a business wire. Who should I be speaking to understand what is Reuters looking for? And she gave me like 5 names. कि यार मामा से बात करो, इससे बात करो, उससे बात. Like all these people are like, CEOs, CXOs at their own, like in their own world, right? So I spoke to them. Now, obviously for them, Reuters was a news wire. They knew a lot more than I would know as a college student.
Yeah.
And they gave me all the inputs I needed. So when that interview came,
Yeah.
I was much better prepared than anybody else.
Yeah. Because you did a background preparation. You used the network which was immediately available to you.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So this was not a cold call network. This was not a network that I built on campus, because nobody on campus could help me figure out what how I should be looking at it from a mature standpoint, from somebody who has 30 years of experience.
Yeah.
So I used that as my network.
Yeah.
That was my
Makes
first
sense.
network.
Yeah.
And I never thought of it as network. I just thought of it as that's what families do. They
Yeah.
come together and they help you when you need it, right?
Yeah.
So you should ask them for help.
Yeah.
And that's the only reason I got through, because the kind of questions they were asking me, I had already asked somebody else and I had the right kind of answers. I had the right
Yeah.
framework. I
Yeah.
understood what is going on in the world. I used to read a lot. I used to read a lot of newspapers and everything. I was updated with current affairs, but did I have like the best opinion at that point in time? Maybe not. So I used that 4 hours. I think I had just 4 hours before the call, and I used that to just do this. I woke up people in the US and this interviews there, and you ask people for help and they step up,
Yeah.
right? And they did, and that's how I got my first job.
Yeah.
So for me, networking started as in as like simple a manner as that.
Yeah.
Like there were simple things where I learned that if you're genuine about how you're thinking about a problem statement, people will come out and they will help you if you need it.
Yeah.
And when the time comes, you should do the same, right? So you should give back and you should do exactly the same thing. When the network and understanding how to do this actually kind of picked up.
Yeah.
And I still remember that, like, my first day at ET, my editor comes and tells me ki, okay, give me 4 stories on startups, and I was blank, because the way I did reporting in Reuters had nothing to do with me talking to people and getting stories out. You
Yeah.
were Reuters and you were getting stories inside out, and there was structure to the problem.
Yeah.
And here there was no structure. Here it was just that it's your judgment at the end of the day. You find something interesting, you're covering this, and startups was also new to ET at that time. So that was what was different. Usually all beats are very standardized. They have a playbook. They know what to do next. With startups, you don't know. You don't know who's the next big entrepreneur. You know as much as anybody else does.
Yeah.
Like, your guess would be as good as mine.
Yeah.
And you are searching for new things. So when you start searching for new things, when you start thinking of it that way, that is when it gets interesting, right? So that was the fun part for me at DT. So I did build a network there. Looking back, I can say that, hey, these are the 4-5 things I did. But while I was doing it, I was not at all strategic about it. And I think being a little bit naive is good, because ultimately it's people, right? So
Yeah.
people relate to other people. They don't relate to perfection in that
Yeah.
sense, right? So it's okay that you don't know. There's a lot of times I'll say, even like I have a 6-year-old son. I'll tell him also. He'll ask me a question. I'll say why. Sometimes he'll just catch me off guard and I don't know why. So I'll say I don't know, and that's also okay, right? So I think over time that's how I started it. Like the first story that I did, someone very senior in my team told me that, why don't you do XYZ kind of stories, but I don't expect you to do a certain kind of stories, because that requires a very deep network. So for example, stories about fundraisers before they are announced, right?
Yeah.
So that requires extremely deep network.
Yeah.
So, she told me that don't worry about that, don't do that, don't do the easy stuff first. Do like things that anybody can do, start with that and sort of get acclimatized to the role. That aspect really bothered me. Like it seemed to me like someone is telling me that you cannot be in the top 1 percentile of the job because you don't have the skill set for it, or you don't have the network
for it.
But you can do the other stuff, which is also not bad, because
Which doesn't really require a deep network, which requires a surface level
correct,
of
which is like
understanding.
the 80 percentile, right? So I was like, यार ये करना ही नहीं है मुझे. Like I don't want to be covering anything where the assumption going in is that the best case outcome is 80%. The best case outcome should always be 100. Um, and that is probably the first time I took it to my ego, like that I need to do this well, and I figured out who are the right people to talk to for understanding those kind of stories. Why would they not talk to a junior person? What to the extent of even understanding what are they reading, what is the asset class, where do they come from. So if it's venture, so I don't know anything about how venture capital works, but I read a lot about it. So then I understood how they think, their thought process. That reading helped me kind of understand where they are coming from. It is awkward for me till date. There is nothing that has changed about it. Like I'm not the person who can work a room. My co-founder can work a room very well. Like he'll go to an event and he'll get 5 stories, and I'm like, what was I doing? I was just gossiping with like 5 people and I didn't get any story, like nothing that I can write about. But we have different styles. So my style is more that understand the right people who you can create long-term connections with, and keep it real to a large extent, right? So they should consider you thought partners also on certain aspects. So say if you're a VC, then I'm not expecting a VC to ever consider me a thought partner on deals, but they can consider me a thought partner on multiple other aspects, right? On communications, on getting them connected sometimes to people that they may not have access to. So you can be a different kind of a thought partner. You can fill in their gaps.
Yeah, I think you raised a very good point about you connect. Let's say you want to be part of that ecosystem, but you lack certain things,
Correct.
some sort of network. But you also have your own network, right? Probably those VCs are not having. So
Correct.
maybe you are giving it out first and then asking them for something in return.
Yeah, and actually never even think of it as asking. Like in my head, I've never thought of it like that. Like
it's never transactional for
it's
you.
never so there are transactional relationships. I will not say that there are people where it is not like that. But do I consider them in my trust circle? Somebody that I would call to if there's something very critical, who do I call? Who is for me, one trustworthy source will be more valuable than 5 people lying to me. Right? Or so the whole idea in my head has always been that add value and do it genuinely. And be real, like have like authentic conversations. It's okay to say that it's okay to be a little bit vulnerable in these situations. A lot of people are not. They have something rehearsed, so people can pick that up, right? Like smart people can pick up these vibes that okay, she's trying to sell something to me, or you make 2 small talks and then you're like, but why don't you buy this, or can I do you know XYZ? So people can immediately understand. They're not stupid. So you have to give them that respect of saying that so if you have to even ask them, so sometimes I'll be as real as saying, can you confirm this for me? This is what I want to know. And it's okay if they say no. But I don't want to make it sound transactional. I will just make it sound like, this is something that I've heard, and I want to know a little bit more about it. If you can help me, great. If you can't, that's also okay.
But you're just being really honest about it.
Yeah, just be honest about it. And most of the time, I'm actually not even thinking that I want something out of this person. Sometimes I'm like, there are people who are very, very well accomplished, and I still don't think that I would trust them for anything. So I will just let it be. I don't need to strain myself with relationships that are not authentic, and just keep creating a network which ultimately will be meaningless. That okay, you can't message him because he will not, like, why should he reply to you? And if it comes across like that, then I will not do it myself, because like I have that level of self-awareness that this is not cool, or this is not how it works. And I just keep very tight to that to a large extent.
You said something about like, I'd rather have a small network as opposed to like having so many people who I can't even trust. So like a lot of people think like networking, oh my god, you really have to have a very expansive network. I personally feel like you can have like a very small but deep network you can actually go back and trust.
I am on the other side, because I don't trust a lot of people
Yeah.
myself. So it's also inside out. Like, think about it. Like, how many people do you really trust, and how many people do you really want to share like things with? The pool is very limited. How many people can you ask for help? You can ask the entire world for help. There's
Yeah.
something or the other, somebody can always help you with,
Yeah.
right? So if you think about it like that, your network is everybody. Like,
Yeah.
but I don't think of it like that because that has never. I've never tried it, but I know people who have, and I don't think that works for them.
Yeah.
And they get played a lot. They have a lot of entitlement on those aspects that oh, it's so big. My network is so wide, and I know this.
Yeah.
Does he
People
know
will
you?
be throwing around names like, oh,
Yeah.
I know this person.
Yeah. The question is, does he know you?
Yeah.
Like, you definitely know him, but does
Yeah.
he know you?
Yeah.
And if he knows you, can he say anything more than like 2 lines about you?
Yeah.
Like, what does he really know about you?
Like, are they aware about your goals?
Yeah, aware about your goals.
What
are
do you
they-
do? What's next
Yeah.
you're planning to do?
Yeah, like do they say, oh, I know this one. It's been a long time, and is it just that, or do they know more?
Yeah.
It's very interesting that every time I meet people at events, people that I know, they'll ask, oh, how's your son? How's your husband doing? How's the startup doing? Like, they'll ask these questions, right?
Yeah.
It's because it's a small network, but they know what is going on, and that is a conscious effort, right? And I'll do
Yeah.
the same thing. Like,
Yeah.
I will ask the same thing.
Yeah.
And that's what I actually even enjoy. Like, having this superficial conversation is boring. Yeah. Life
Yeah.
is short. Like,
Yeah.
for that, you really feel like, yaar, ye nahi karna.
Yeah.
This is it's like, it's not going to get you anywhere. It cheap thrills. Like,
Yeah.
what does it really do? And they forget about it. Like, the other person on the other side, if he doesn't remember you,
Yeah.
then that network is worth nothing
Yeah.
at the end of the day.
What are different forms of networking? I know, and this is how people associate networking with, like going to a conference and like feeling awkward. You have a name tag there. You're trying to find a friend, or you're trying to find your tribe. If you don't, you just end up coming back home.
And a lot of times to me that I've come back home saying, oh my god, this is just not my kind of crowd, and that's okay. Like, it happens a lot.
Yeah. But can we do something about this? Like, I was thinking, having a one-on-one coffee chat is like, it prepares you well. Like we were talking about, like, just be prepared who are coming to that event. Have a spreadsheet. You were talking about, like, I'll call people up, asking if
Yeah,
you're coming.
yeah.
So do certain things so that next time you're going for an event, at least you're better prepared.
Yeah, I mean, just think about it. We are doing this in school time, right? Like, when you go to a party, you are messaging your friends in 11th, where are you coming? Are you coming?
Yeah.
Who's coming? Who's
Yeah.
not coming? What are you wearing? Everything, right?
Yeah.
So, it's friendship. It's not
Yeah.
a network, right?
Yeah.
And that's how I actually associate with it. So I am better at one-on-one.
Yeah.
That is what I prefer.
Yeah.
My meetings, when I meet somebody for the first time, always exceed the time limit, and I love that.
Yeah.
If they don't, then
Yeah,
you
because
should.
it's organically happening.
Yeah, and if it doesn't, you should know that this is not happening again. Like, that filter is on both sides. That this is not the right vibe for me.
Yeah.
But more often than not, I'm the one-on-one person. I'm not a group person.
Yeah.
In groups, I'm not the person who goes into a event and I'm like 100% confident about what is going to happen. But sometimes I do have motives. Like, I want to meet certain kind of people for a certain aspect. So it may not be. So there's a certain problem statement in my mind that I want to solve for say video or podcast, right?
Yeah.
So I will have like few people who if I see them, I'll ask them, hey, I need your help. This is what I'm thinking. This is how I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Help me think through this.
Yeah.
And they will,
Yeah.
because it's a trusted setup.
Yeah, and you're like being strategic about it. Like, even if you said like you were not, but you're just actually giving them the clear agenda. You're putting a limit to it, right? Like, this is the part where I
Correct.
need your help. This is the part I figured it out.
Correct.
Yeah.
And see, at the back of everybody's mind today, everybody's thinking that.
Yeah.
Isko kya chahiye? Right? And sometimes it can be genuinely kuch bhi nahi chahiye. Sometimes it can be very strategic, ya sirf yahi chahiye. And but if you are not authentic about it, they will not trust you.
Yeah.
See, ultimately the game is about trust.
Yeah.
And a little bit of naivety, a little bit of vulnerability.
Yeah.
Just being human, right? That's what the game is about. If if the person connects with you, they will want to help you. If they don't connect with you, they will say, yeah, you write to me, and they'll ghost you.
Yeah.
And it's not like people do that to me. I also do that to people, because when I feel that that's happening to me, that is my reaction also. Okay, oh, you just wanted me to talk. You just wanted to talk to me about this.
Yeah.
I don't feel like there's a reason to help you.
Yeah.
But if you kind of tell me, there are like, oh, I'm really suffering through something, that's why I need your help, or
Yeah. I know there's like a large percentage of population consider networking is like really important skill to have, and they also want to do it, but only a small percentage of people are actually doing it. So the question is like, why is there a gap between people knowing it's important but actually not doing something about it?
well, they know it's important, but they don't think it is immediately important for them, right? That is why you hear of networking related to sales, or networking related to jobs, because that is when it is immediately important for you. Those kind of things barely work.
Yeah.
Like, they don't work because again, it's not you, you're trying to fill in a short term goal. If you have to think about networking, you have to think about it more long term, more aligned. Like, people should know you. Like, people are also very busy, right? Like,
Yeah.
you have your circle. To get into that circle, it's going to take time, it's going to take effort, it's going to take investment. uh, if you only think about that circle at a certain point in time, like,
Yeah.
oh, now I need a job, so
Yeah.
now I need to start reaching out.
Yeah.
I don't consider that networking at all. I just
Yeah.
consider that cold
Transactional.
outreach. Yeah, that's not networking at all.
Yeah.
So you're getting a networking is getting a bad name for
Yeah.
for something that it's not. Like,
Yeah.
this is not what it's supposed to be like. Networking is about showing up for people that you care about. I see a lot of seasoned people, and now I've started observing this, that a lot of the top founders, right, they don't have the time to come to an event and like spend like 4 hours at an event. But if somebody important has called them, or somebody they consider important has called them, they'll come, they'll show up, they'll say hi, they will sit for 15-20 minutes, and they'll leave, right? In their mind, they've done their job for their friend. And they have and they showed up, they met the right people, and they walked out.
You said this thing about think of networking as a long-term goal, right?
Yeah.
Not something that you need immediately. That's when you start doing it, because then it's not networking. It's something you're just trying to achieve right now.
Yeah,
and
it's
just
a very
go-
short-term
yeah,
goal.
Yeah.
Then you're basically doing a goal-oriented thing, right?
Yeah.
It's not the same, and sometimes that also works. Sometimes that cold email works because the person on the other side may find you interesting.
Yeah.
And it happens to me a lot. Like, in my job, I'm on Super DM. I get like a lot of cold reach outs. Uh, Sometimes I reply because I find it interesting. It has nothing to do with like, am I good at networking or not. Like, I replied to you, there may be 2 people that I didn't reply to
Yeah.
because it didn't seem authentic.
Yeah.
When I looked at your profile, it seemed authentic to me.
Yeah.
So people are making those calls as well, so sometimes that will work, but considering that as the playbook for networking, that is what is incorrect.
Correct.
Like,
Yeah.
there you need a little bit more time. You need to give it time.
Yeah, so it's a two-way street, right? It's a mutual exchange. You have to be genuine, you have to be authentic. You can be goal-oriented, but like, as you said, like, show your nice side as well. Like,
Yeah.
so there's this very interesting LinkedIn post I came across from a global reputed VC fund who was looking for a portfolio manager. And the hiring criteria is that, I'll read it out, like, find someone in your network, or Q, some of them would have shared this post on their LinkedIn, Twitter, or would have engaged with us in past, or would know me personally. Show us you are super resourceful. Ask them to email me. Ask them to share a strong, specific, warm intro for you. I think that's a very different hiring criteria. Like, ask, like, only if you have a deep network, that's how you're gonna get this job.
Yeah.
And this also brings back to me to your LinkedIn headline, which says hiring exclusively through network. So, what is this new criteria of hiring through network? Like, you don't need your resume, you don't need anything, at least to begin with, but you need a very deep network to do introductions and like get that segue, get that foot in the
Yeah.
door.
So this is probably also contextual, right? That startups and VC, like, if you are a VC operator, your job is to like know what is going on in the ecosystem, right? You can't be an introvert and do that. So you have to be out there. You have to have the right batchmates. You have to have the right friends. You have to have the like. That is extremely important.
Yeah.
A lot of time it happens to me that people will ask me, "Can you recommend me somewhere?" And there is a job opening,
Yeah.
and I don't do it.
Yeah.
A lot of time I do it. There are times I don't do it because I also don't know the person, right? So I'm also thinking that my network has credibility. Like if I
Yeah.
say something and
That's so true. Yeah, your network is equal to your credibility.
correct. So
There's this one also like school of thought that is like, do you think like is networking overrated?
I mean, if you're doing it in a transactional basis, it is. And if you don't enjoy it, then just don't. Like, it's not like a make or break kind of like I honestly did not think about the term networking till this podcast
Yeah.
happened. I told you, right? So, I'm just I'm just the person who is outbound. There are a lot of people who are not. And they find different ways.
Yeah.
Right. They'll find their tribe on Reddit maybe. Maybe not on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll find it on Reddit.
Yeah, correct.
They will they may be into some sports, so they may find their folks like through those networks.
Yeah.
There's always something that you do enjoy in life, right? Like
Yeah.
so you will build your networks
Through those ways,
yeah.
yeah.
You don't need to go to an event
Yeah.
to do that. You can and sometimes it's a conscious choice. Like a lot of friends of mine say कि नहीं करना ही है. मतलब it's not that I don't like it. It's not that I'm not good at it. I just don't like it.
Yeah.
Which is okay. A lot of
Yeah.
people don't like it.
Fair.
So if you don't like it, don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't do it in an inauthentic manner because it's not going to work. So I got my job at Stellaris. I did. It was crazy at that point in time that
Yeah.
a journalist has moved into a VC
Yeah.
fund, and people were asking me that how did you get this?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know. Like, what was Rahul thinking? I have zero idea.
Rahul is
Rahul is the partner at Stellaris.
okay.
What he was thinking, I have zero idea.
Yeah.
But all I know is that 5 days before my wedding, he called me and he told me that, I think you'll be good at this role. Why don't you at least try to talk to us? This is why
This
we are
was
try-
inbound.
This was inbound.
Yeah.
And I know you. And again, people also track your professional work, right? So Rahul doesn't know me for any good reason. Rahul knows me because I have created chaos in most of his portfolio companies. Like I was covering housing.com at that time.
Yeah.
Helion was like the one of the top investors. He worked at Helion before that. If you think about it in a very transactional manner, I may be a net negative. I may be a net negative on
Yeah.
that outcome, right?
Yeah.
But I was doing my job. I was doing it in a fair manner,
Yeah.
and see, the smart people have the understanding.
Yeah.
What is fair, what is not fair.
Yeah.
They don't take it personally.
Yeah, and also because that was part of your job.
It was part of my job,
Yeah.
and I was very good at it.
Yeah.
And he just said, why don't you do this? It's interesting. It's a new thing. Again, why did I join that fund? Is because
do you want to share like your role at Stellaris VC Fund?
yes. So it was a marketing and content role. The idea was that again, VC is all about investing into like crazy ideas, but ultimately you're backing the founder.
Yeah.
At that time, like podcasts and like having your own blog and all these things were very, very alien concepts. Like funds did not do that,
Especially in India.
especially in India.
Yeah.
In the US, they were.
Yeah,
right?
of course,
So
like-
it was. So the thesis was, can we build something like a A16Z out of India?
Yeah.
Have a content pipeline, tell people how we think about problems. So sometimes that actually helps you build your network and
Yeah.
in a very thoughtful manner.
Yeah.
So most LinkedIn is cringe,
Yeah.
but there is a part of LinkedIn where people actually express why they think how they think.
Yeah,
And then you're
cut
like,
through the noise.
I
Yeah.
relate to that.
Yeah.
I relate to his thinking, right? And you connect on an intellectual level. Now you're not connecting on a vibe or something. You're just like,
Yeah.
I think this guy is really smart, and I was thinking about this problem statement in ABC ways, and he's thinking about it in a different direction,
Yeah.
D, which also makes sense.
Yeah.
But
No, makes sense. I think what you talked about, like a lot of things on LinkedIn today are like these paid posts, and you can make it out like
correct, and
prima facie.
90% they're not even writing it themselves,
Yeah.
right? So if you're writing it yourself, you have a good idea, great idea, you put it out there, people will find that interesting.
Yeah.
People will find that insightful.
So that,
And that's how that role happened for me. Like
Yeah.
it was like my manager was present on my wedding day, and I remember telling him on that day that boss, I'm leaving because I'm going to do this.
This is the most hilarious thing ever.
And I remember the song playing in the background on the Sangeet, and I'm telling him, I'm done. I'm going to leave this and I want to do this.
Yeah.
And he said, it's a great idea. And he literally said that to
Oh,
me.
he was receptive to it. He was very
He was
happy.
not to say, he was very happy for me.
Okay. Yeah.
He's, by the way, now my co-founder.
Awesome.
So, but he was very happy for me because it was unprecedented at that point in
Yeah.
time for it to happen, right? And I was like, it is interesting.
Yeah.
How can I? So, and he said the same thing. It was a great opportunity. There was no way to stop you.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of thing, right? You build the kind of trust with people
Yeah.
where even though their incentives are not aligned, like Madhav's incentive at that time was definitely not aligned.
Madhav
is
is
my co-founder.
Yeah.
His incentive was not aligned to me leaving at that point in time.
Yeah.
But he was extremely happy for me.
Yeah.
And that is where authenticity comes from.
Mm-hmm.
That when you know something is right for someone, you don't stop them.
Yeah.
Right? You just say, now that has been built over time. It's been built over
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's how it happened. Then I was there. I enjoyed myself thoroughly for like 2 years.
Yeah.
But I also realized that my calling is actually journalism.
Yeah.
That is what I enjoy. And again, it came back to the same family conversation that you have to be
Again,
doing.
your immediate network.
Yeah, like my husband said, kya kar rahi hai? Is pe you will never be the best. You'll never be the best at this role. But you'll be the best journalist because you're extremely good at that. Here again, you'll be in the 80 percentile. That 80 percentile bothered me again. And again, your own network knows your strengths. They also help you understand and think through stuff, right?
I think it's a very good point you mentioned, right? Your network knows certain things about you, your goals, your vision, like your capabilities, right?
yeah.
So once they see an opportunity, right, they'll connect those dots.
Yeah.
Maybe not like in a short term, but in a long term, they'll see an opportunity and they'll think of you like, oh my God,
Correct.
she'll be so good at this.
Correct. And that's exactly what happened. That
Yeah.
he said, ये क्यों कर रही है अगर? And I can't tell you the number of people who told me you are out of your mind. That
Leaving Stellaris.
I mean, I left Stellaris when I was 8 months pregnant.
Yeah.
I could have easily coasted for like a year
Yeah.
more, and have that work-life balance. And people are great at Stellaris. They would have let me do whatever
Yeah.
I wanted if I was. I could have just gone on mat leave. What I did instead was on my 8th month, I'm interviewing at Economic Times that I want to come back.
Yeah.
Right, and I want to do this, and I was just very sure like time nahi waste karna. Now when you know the answer,
Yeah.
don't waste your time and
Correct.
don't waste other people's time,
Yeah.
right? So it's when you kind of always in your life you need to be very sure that you are doing things with the right intent. The day I knew that I'm not going to be working at Stellaris for like a long term, I thought it was not fair to ask them for maternity. It's as simple as that, right? Could they afford it? Would they have done it? Of course, I could have left after that as well. But I didn't do that. I took the risk and I said, I want to do what I want to do. And why did I think of it like that? It was not because immediately it would benefit me if I kept quiet. But long term, it would have bothered.
Yeah.
It would have bothered Rahul that, यार इसने छोड़ दिया उसके बाद.
Yeah.
I couldn't live with that.
Yeah.
Right? So again, if you have a network, you have your people, don't take them for a ride.
Yeah.
Like be real with them and be honest with them. It's okay. It was a short-term hit on my PNL. Like it was a total hit, right? Because I would not. I didn't know if I would get any benefits from ET. Like legally, they didn't need to give me anything. Like, but it was the right thing to do.
Okay, before we wrap this conversation up, do you have any tactics or do's and don'ts for someone who is like wants to network, feeling a bit awkward, scared, nervous, cringing out? What are 3 things if they're like doing, they're good to go?
One is have a clear long-term goal in mind. 2, when you reach out to people, please research them like a lot and value their time. Like don't GPT it. Like just value their time. Think through why you want to connect with them. Think through why they should think about you. And write it in a meaningful manner so that somebody notices you.
Yeah.
And 3, find your own way of networking.
Yeah.
There is no playbook to this. There are people who don't enjoy LinkedIn. There are people who are great on Twitter, not on LinkedIn. There are people who are great on videos, not in writing.
Yeah.
Vice versa as
Yeah.
well. So you can find your tribe in many ways, right?
Yeah.
It's not, there is no book that can teach you this. This is about what you enjoy.
That's
but
true.
do it from a point of actually having fun
Yeah.
and something that you actually enjoy doing. If
Yeah,
you do it forced, it's not going to work.
Yeah, just like come from a place of curiosity.
Yeah.
As you said, be authentic. Don't keep it transactional. And I think also like one thing you mentioned about research and all of that, I think like perfect your elevator pitch, like
Yeah.
craft it really well. It comes handy like when you are like in a group setup and finally you're ready for it, you have it ready.
Yeah. And also have high energy. Like, energy is underrated.
Yeah, it's contagious, right? Your energy.
Yeah. Energy is under. If you go with a dull face, like you can suck the life out of a room. And energy is something that you really
Yeah.
need to get right. And that's what people sense. So, in fact, Hari from Big Basket, the founder of Big Basket, he said, the energy and the smile with which you enter the room just defines it.
Yeah.
Like it
It
just
sets the tone
it
of the
sets
conversation.
the tone of the conversation.
Yeah.
So that's how it should be. You should
Yeah.
be smiling. You should be energetic.
Yeah.
And in control of yourself. Yeah,
All right. I think this was awesome. I had a great time.
I did too. I've said things that I never thought about
Yeah.
previously. Like
Yeah.
it was
very
good.
deep.